Last week's weather certainly made for good fishing. This week, as it warms up, the fishing should continue to be great. The kingfish along the coast are everywhere, and the bass reports are big fish as well as a lot of largemouth bass being caught. So if you want to know more, it's time for the Texas Insider Fishing Report.
Welcome to the Texas Insider Fishing Report. Presented by Yamaha.
Welcome back to the Texas Insider Fishing Report. We're your hosts, Brie Gabrielle and Captain Rick Murphy, ready with your captains to bring you some killer reports as we head into the month of May. I can't believe it's already May.
I know it. You know, Bree, the one thing when I think about May that comes to mind is that it's a transition month. Mm-hmm. So you're going to see from week to week, and that's why it's important to watch the report every week,
right,
is it's going to change as we start to get from the cooler mornings to the warm, hot days to blistering hot nights. You'll see that the fishing is going to change from week to week.
That's why you got to watch.
That's right.
All right, let's pop over to the workbench to give a quick welcome and hello to Dave Farrell. Dave, what's going on over there?
Well, another good reason to watch is because they're... Yeah, well, there you go. But it's because all those shrimp are leaving the bays and stuff, and the croakers are coming in, so we're going to talk about how to catch sea trout on live croakers.
All right.
Sounds like some fun.
We got some live croakers in the house,
Yes,
baby.
we do.
All good. All right, let's start this week in the Fish Bites Upper Coast region, where you need to be getting just as excited as Captain Carl Weston for a new sheriff species in town. Let's make that inshore intro, Carl.
Hey guys, well, our new species this week we're going to talk about is sheep's head. I'm very excited to bring this super fun little guy to catch. Your best target spots when chasing these little guys will be structure like rocks, marker buoys and piers, and around marina docks. And as the water temperature is rising, the jetties become a great target area for these as well. Now your bigger fish are going to hang closer to colder and deeper water, but your bait will always stay the same no matter what size these fish are. A good tip to catching these fish is to keep your hooks and your bait on the smaller side. I only say this because these fish have a relatively small mouth. Now, as far as the setup goes, I like to use a Carolina rig. It seems to work amazing on these fish. I'll tip it with oyster, clam, shrimp, or sand fleas, whatever I can get in abundance. Small fiddler crabs work really well too on catching these sheephead. Remember to always keep a tight line when fishing for these, because the bite is just going to feel like a little tap. Keep your bait close to the structure. It's always good to keep the rod in your hand. And sometimes if these fish get to where they're stealing all your bait, you might switch over to some small pieces of fish bite in the crab or shrimp flavor. This bait is very tough, will stay on the hook to improve your odds of landing more fish. And today we have a picture of young Mr. Brandon Castor for the sheep's head.
All right, looking good. All right, what else you got for us inshore, bub?
Well, we're going to go chase some black drum this week. The springtime here for us is a great time to take your little ones out and catch some big drum. Schools of these mature fish, Rick, can be found tailing and feeding in large groups, very much like our redfish do. You can always find these guys in deep channels and inlets. Keep your eyes peeled for clouds of mud coming to the surface in areas of clean water. And this could be your telltale sign. Smaller fish can be targeted in the backwaters around the docks and bulkheads also. Remember to keep your bait close to the structure once again, and keep your drag fairly tight. This will assist you in turning the fish and preventing them from getting wrapped up. As far as the rig setup, a medium weight spinning rod reel should put some nice fish in the cooler for you. I personally like a 6.5 to 7 foot rod. I'll load it up with 20 to 30 pound diamond fishing line to ensure a good set. I always use a Eagle Claw 7/0 circle hook baited with crab, shrimp, crab, or mussel. And I believe we have another young man here, Dylan, with a good eating size black drum.
That is a good eating size. Good. Yeah, man, look at the kids go.
Love
Way to
it.
go. All right, let's go offshore where you make your money, dog.
Okay, well, moving offshore, the kingfish are running hot and heavy offshore this week. We had reports of these fish being caught from the inshore platforms and rock piles all the way to the offshore wrecks and reefs. And as we talked about last week, the bait here seems to be in abundance this year. And these kings will hang around as long as that hardtail buffet stays in town. This is a good species to target with live bait. It's so much fun to catch. You know, the moment you see a kingfish guy on a live bait, Rick, get 10 feet of air, man, you'll be hooked, and hopefully he will be too. And, you know, dead bait works as well. They really hit the live bait hard. Another option is deep divers and large silver spoons. You want to drift these over structure or drop down, do like a 2 or 3 knot slow troll with either of these bait choices. And as always, don't forget to use wire leader and sit back and watch the air show. We have a picture here of Mr. John with one of our air show competitors.
I like it. Looks good, man. All right, what else you got for me offshore, bub?
Well, let's go out and chase some amberjack. Finally, our amberjack season has arrived, and we are happy here in the Upper Coast. Opening day was Friday, and it opened up with an amazing weather window. I think every angler I know is out there enjoying opening day. A lot of these guys got out to their favorite spots and put their gear back to the test. The 30 to 50 pound amberjack are running in the, say, 200 to 300 depth range around structure. If you want to sneak out a little further, go a little deeper, there are bigger fish out there. Just remember, chasing these bigger fish is going to require some heavy tackle. It's no fun to lose a monster due to undersized equipment. And amberjack love to school around these rock piles and old platforms. Check your charts and see if you can't find some of the old cutoff rigs as well in your area. Since so many of our visible rigs have been cut down and removed. Now, one of the drawbacks to fishing, to rig fishing, is the challenge of turning these big, strong fish towards the surface before they drag you back into rig legs. So the first 30 to 40 seconds of this fight sometimes decides the winner. And I would always suggest at least an 80-pound main line. I tie about a 20-foot, 200-pound test wind-on leader. Diamond Moy is my choice because it's very abrasion resistant. We double crimp an Eagle Claw circle hook, about an 18-aught. To the end of that leader, add your bait, 2 pounds of weight, drop, reel, rest, and repeat, Rick.
I gotcha. Tell me about this photo, bub.
I think this girl won the battle on this fish. I think Natasha won this battle.
Looks like it.
All right, well, we're gonna go ahead and take a look at the hot spots, the mirror lure hot spots from the Upper Coast region. Inshore sheep's head fishing with a Carolina rig near the structure with oysters, clams, and sand fleas. And finish that off with some fish bite strip bait on a small Eagle Claw circle hook. And then offshore, amberjacks. Fishing a deep water offshore structure with 200-pound diamond leader, and then finish off that rig with an 18-0 Eagle Claw Circle C hook for the live bait, Brie.
Did you say drop, reel, rest, repeat?
Yeah, man.
I like it. All right, well, let's stay north and head over to the Upper Fresh region to see just what Johnny Geis has been catching on the lakefront. Talk to us, Johnny.
Hello, Rick and Brie. Man, have I got some great reports from the Upper Fresh region this week. Let's start out on stripers up on Lake Texoma. Captain Bill and Chris Carey of Striper Express report. They're reporting that the fishing was great on Texoma here in April, and they're expecting an exceptional May. Striped bass, they finished their annual spawn, and tens of thousands of these hungry fish are in the main lake right now. The average size fish is running about 2 to 4 pounds, with several per charter topping over 10 pounds. Most of the fish been coming on paddle tail plastics on the jig head, as well as some heavy slabs, but all that's about to change. May is a very exciting topwater fishing month, and it's here. The hungry stripers, they're back from the spawn. They're feeding up heavily at first light on swarms of gizzard shad. The guides have their customers casting the big plugs, topwater plugs, at first light every morning on the shallow banks for about an hour to hour and a half. And after that, the topwater bite's over, you got to move out on the main lake, use your electronics to locate the schools of fish. Man, the fish are grouped up in large schools, they're roaming, and boy, they're hungry and they're willing to bite. So after that topwater action subsides, they switch over to lead head soft plastics and some slabbing spoons. The chartreuse and white colors of choice up there. The 3/4 ounce and 1.5 ounce jigs and slabs are the best size to use. You got to experiment with exact cadence to retrieve up and down to get that most bites. Since the stripers are schooling, fish, and multiple hookups are common, and fast and furious in action gets to be a lot of fun with a boatload of customers. Lake Balgis up there reporting that the striper population is still holding record numbers of fish. So about 40% of that population is over 5 pounds and up. So the lake levels are normal. The water temps are in the 60s. And Texoma, it's only one of the few lakes in the United States where it has documented reproduction of freshwater stripers. So it's loaded. Captain Bill says the future of striper fishing on Texoma is looking great. So if you want to try some luck on the Texoma stripers, give them a call at Striper Express. Look on the Facebook page. Captain Bill shared a picture with a customer this week. That is one nice big striper it's called.
Nice.
Hey, I got some big news here. Lake Allen Henry over there south of Lubbock. Another great hot spot to share with the viewers. Bass fishing on Lake Allen Henry is fantastic, according to Philip Pooh with Gone Fishing Guide Service. He says the last 2 weeks have been the best he's ever seen. The numbers and the size of the bass he and his clients are catching is staggering. The bass are spawning right now over there, and the big ones are on the nest. He has his son, Jared, up from Hill Country Guide Service, working with him at this time, and many of their customers are catching their personal best. His son, Jared, man, he's a specialist at that sight fishing, and he's got a platform installed in his boat, which allows his customers to fish from an elevated platform, allows much better visibility when targeting and bedding bass, and the customer has a better opportunity to see and finesse those old big female fish into biting. Philip says that they offer the customers a choice of strictly hunting for the giant bass, if that's what they want to go after, or for numbers. On numbers, Philip's using big worms, jigs, shaky heads, and some top waters. But sight fishing, boy, that's an art, and it takes a lot of experience to set up correctly and present the right lure at the right time and the right place to get that bite. Usually a sweet spot on that nest, we call it a sweet spot. That's where that bass goes back to time and time again. And when you can present your lure just right, you'll have a chance to catch a real big one. Having a good guide to teach you how to fish for bed and bass is worth that investment. And if you hit it on the right day, it could be the best fishing day of your life for sure. Jared's using a jig and crawl trailer to target the real big fish. And speaking of that, here's a couple of pictures. I just had to add one extra one. He started out with a 1274 last week, and then he put this young man on the next picture, a 9-pound bass. I mean, those are great pictures. And I just had to throw this one in right at last Friday. He comes up catching fish everywhere. 14.77, 29¼ inches long. Doesn't even look like a bass. It's so long. Man, fishing is going great up here in the upper fresh region. Next week I'm on big sand bass and black bass here on 4. That's what's going on, Rick.
All right, thank you. Great report, great pictures, Johnny. Thanks. We're going to go ahead and look at the upper fresh hotspots. Johnny says Lake Texoma, the fishing is excellent. The water's stained, 68 degrees. The striped bass and the white bass are on top waters and live baits, and then diving birds are making the feeding schools throughout the lake. So make sure you look for them. The largemouth bass fishing, they're doing it with plastic creature baits, swim baits, crankbaits, and 6 to 14 foot of water. And then Lake Allen Henry's, the fishing's good. The water's clear there, 62 degrees. The black bass are spawning close to the shore in the coves. And the best lures there are soft plastics, including worms and jigs. And the crappie are good on the minnows.
In a nutshell. All right, stay hooked, my friends. When we come back, we're venturing into the vast lower fresh region. But first, let's check in with our workbench captain, Dave Farrell, and see what's on deck for rigs and techniques.
Man, you can hear that little croaker.
Oh,
you can hear him.
Yeah. Nice.
I thought he was going to die with that thing you were reading, though. This is what we're going to be using for bait.
Sounds fun.
He's
to
croaking.
Me. We'll
He
be
was
back.
croaking.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Casa Vieja Lodge, 5-star angling in beautiful Guatemala. Garmin, join the club. Sportsman's Adventures, fishing for adventure. And Skeeter Performance Fishing Boats, eat, sleep, fish.
Reliability. Yamaha is known for it. And it's something boaters value, because these days, few things are built to last. When we find something that is, we hold on to friendships, traditions, outboards. Because every second on the water is sacred. If you count on having this time, you need an outboard you can count on to power it. That's why boaters choose Yamaha for the long run, for life, because reliability starts here.
Remember the glory days of gasoline? It's just not made the same anymore.
Kick your gas into gear with StarTron. Pump up the performance in all of your engines. Cure the problems of ethanol with the power of enzymes. And maximize your mileage every time you drive. Kickstart your engines with StarTron.
For the Bay and beyond, team up with the best and rule the Bay in a Skeeter. Proven with 19 consecutive NMMA Consumer Satisfaction Awards. And right now, through June 20th, you can save with summer sizzling rebates of up to $2,500. Versatility, control, performance, and design. Visit your local Skeeter dealer or online at SkeeterBoats.com. Skeeter, it's more than a boat, it's a lifestyle.
Have you ever felt your heart pounding while feeling the power of a tarpon in the Florida Keys? Or experienced the changing colors of a mahi as you bring it on board? Whether it's in the Bahamas, the Florida Keys, Guatemala, or the Florida Everglades, Murphy's Law Sports Fishing has the ability to guide you to the fish of a lifetime. To book your trip today, call 305-246-0673 or go to murphyslawsportfishing.com. Well, the Rigs and Techniques here, and you're the Alvy man, so why don't you tell us what's going on here at the workbench this week?
We're talking about catching spotted sea trout on a croaker. And, you know, this time of year, it's croaker season. The shrimp boats and whatnot, they can get a full load of croakers. They don't have to worry about having to have half shrimp. And it's good because the shrimp are starting to
get small and thin
getting
out.
away and moving off. And so the boys are starting to catch croakers and whatnot. So when there's a lot of croakers around, you can use them for bait. Now, a lot of fellas, you know, especially in Texas and there's other places too, that they kind of stick their nose up to guys who catch trout on bait. But you just need to lay down until that feeling goes away, because it's a really good way to catch them, and you don't have to be a great caster. You know, you can be a first-time guy, and if you've got a lot of good live baits, big trout eat big baits. And it's a great way for a fella to go out and catch a big trout without having to do a whole lot of casting with artificials, learning how to use a bait caster and all this other stuff. It's just a really good, simple way to go out and catch a big trout. And at the beginning of the season, like right now in May, the croakers are kind of smaller, and you really want to wait till they get to be about 3 to 5 inches long, because the little tiny ones don't make as much noise. The bigger ones make a little bit of noise, and that's what you want to use a croaker for, because they can attract a bait. When they get down in there, they'll croak, croak, croak like that one was going when I picked him out. Now, we're going to be using a big kale hook, a big live bait style kale hook between a 5/0 and a 7/0. You know, there's a 5/0 you got in your hand, and that's a 7/0. Shows you the difference in the sizes there. But you use different sizes obviously for a bait. You know, a little 3-inch size croaker, you'd use the 5/0. Any bigger than 5 inches or whatever, you'd want to use the bigger one. You can use a big croaker up to 8 or 9 inches long. It's amazing how big a bait a sea trout can eat.
Yeah.
They can eat a 1-pound mullet, a 4-pound trout. I mean, it's amazing how
What
how
size
big.
leader you like, Dave?
Well, we're going to use 25-pound fluorocarbon diamond line.
Right.
You know, that's a great size. You don't have to worry about teeth or nothing. He's not going to break that. You're not going to put enough pounds on it to break it. So that's plenty, and you probably wouldn't even have to go any higher or lower than that.
All right, so let's show you. So how are we going to hook them?
Well, when you hook these buggers, we want to. Oh, they're grunting in here.
Croaking. Oh,
you
listen
can
to
hear
him.
I don't know
Yeah.
if I'll do it again.
Oh, yeah, he's croaking.
He
You
is,
can
he's
hear him.
croaking and lively.
So how are you
Anyway,
going to hook them?
We're going to hook him. You hook him in the tail area, in between the anus
All right,
and the
make
anal
sure
fin.
we show that camera there.
Yeah, right back here.
Between the tail?
No, right here.
And
in between the anus and the anal fin.
Oh, man.
Yeah, right in the taint. It's not a good spot. If you were him, you wouldn't want to be him. And what that do is that'll make him swim down to the bottom, you know, and he gets a little lively as well, obviously.
Right.
But you're gonna want to put him put them into a pothole.
I guess if I was hooked there, I'd be doing this too.
Exactly. You want to put them in a pothole, place where the grass and the sand meet. You don't want to throw him right up into the grass, because that little joker is going to bury his head. Listen to him. He'll bury his head right down in the grass, and nothing can find him, even when he's croaking like that. Mm-hmm. So what you want to do is you want to throw him in the potholes on the areas where it goes from grass to sand to drop off. Places like that where you can keep him in the sand. And if he goes into the sand, you just give him a little twitch and pull him up out of the sand. You really want this thing to do the work for you. You don't want to reel him back in and see if he's there and cast him back out, because you want him to live.
Put him back in the live well so he can live. You can use him for bait tomorrow.
The longer he's out there, and working for you, that's how you want. You don't want to keep reeling him in and casting him out, because you'll kill him before he gets to do it.
I love anything that makes noise.
Yeah.
It just is proven fact.
Yeah, they work.
All right, Brie, where are we going?
Oh my goodness, Tank good over there. All right. We are always talking about in the Lower Fresh region some lakes, so let's get to the lakes this week. Guide Matt Reed is on the line to give us the inside scoop on Lake Somerville, Fayette County, Buchanan, Bastrop, Decker, and of course Lake Falcon. You've definitely got some new species to talk about today, so let's get to it, Matt.
Let's roll. Let's get this thing started with a largemouth bass. Greg Boyd with Anglers Angle Guide Service sent me a report from Somerville and Fayette County. Somerville, the largemouth are biting well in the shallow water early. Throw a walking top water and buzz bait around the shoreline cover to get your bites. There's also a little bit of a frog bite on the west end of the lake up in the creek. After the sun gets high, they find them on the first drop-offs out at the mouth of the creeks. Throw a light Carolina rig or a shaky head and with green pumpkin or black stick baits or small worms. That's how he's catching them best. Fayette County, fishing is good over there as long as there's some breeze. If it gets flat, it's hard to get a bite. There's some solid fish around the reeds early in the morning on traps, chatterbaits, and popping frogs. As the sun gets on up, move out to the main lake drop-offs and road beds with a Carolina rig. Throw a dark color stick bait or a magnum trick worm for your bait. Red bug, watermelon candy, or green pumpkin has been best in that 12 to 18 feet of water. Brian Cotter from Texas Hogs sent me some reports from around the Austin area. Lake Buchanan is still producing some really good fish. There's some of the bigger females that are moving up from offshore, and they're showing up in a little bit of shallow water. You can catch those off the rocky points. Throw any type of soft plastic stick bait, creature bait, or crawl worm up there to get those bites. A jig and a deep crankbait will also get you bit as well. If you want to fish shallow, get you a popper, fish around the shallow rocks and trees. There's still some fish up there. Lake Bastrop, the bite's been pretty good. The fish are starting to school up a little bit out on the main lake, but flipping grass with stick baits and flukes will catch you some better fish right now. A frog or a wake bait will get a few really good blow-ups as well. Lake Decker just opened back up, and as you can imagine, the schooling bass are strong in the mornings, starting out in that discharge area of the power plant. It's been catching upwards of 100 fish in that area right now. You get in the right spots, you can just load them up. Small swim baits are getting most of the bites. If it slows down, get you a shaky head with a finesse worm, and you'll catch you some more. Falcon Lake, my fishing's still real good down here. We're fully in the summer pattern. It's over 100 most days, temperature-wise. Early morning, you can catch some on a square bill up shallow on the rocky points. But later in the day, a big stand-up head with a big soft plastic on it or a Carolina rig is the most consistent bite. You can also catch that special fish sometime on a big, deep crankbait out on the main lake rock. Got a picture there from a customer of mine last week. Ricky Frederick had him a fish over 9 pounds that decided that crankbait looked good.
Man, I'm telling you, that guy's a happy guy. What else you got for us in the Lower Fresh region?
I got an unusual species. We're going to talk about a little alligator gar. Ram Reyes with Texas Kings Outdoors. He says the bow fishing is really awesome right now with the heat. They're up near the surface. Also catching them on rod and reel. using big cut shad and a carp suspended. It's a great type of exciting fishing. You can look at that picture there too. They caught the other day. Those things are just monsters.
Oh, dinosaurs!
Fun.
What else you got, Bub? One more to go. How about some kitty cats?
We got kitty cats at Falcon. The water's getting hot. The bigger catfish are suspended in that 10 to 15 feet of water. Super early or late in the day. Get you some cut carp and gizzard shad. Just for keeper cats, get you some stink bait and shad and about 10 foot of water around the hardwoods.
All right, thanks for covering all those species, Matt. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the lower fresh hotspots from the lower fresh region. Matt says that Lake Decker is on fire. Tons of schooling bass around the discharge. Look for the surface activity and throw small swim baits and hang on. You can also catch them on shaky heads with a trick worm.
Wow, Rick. Some good stuff there. That was a lot of lakes.
Yeah, man.
A lot of lakes going on. All right, well, we're headed to the Garmin Middle Fresh region next, and then we're headed to the Facebook social page for websites. Look us up on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, follow and tag us in your Fishtastic photos on Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube page, Captain Rick Murphy. We'll be right back.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Contender Boats, always in the game. Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, the best lures, period. Alvy Reels, a better way to fish. And Murphy's Law Sport Fishing. Book your trip today at murphyslawsportfishing.com.
An entirely new species of extreme predator is moving offshore. The Yamaha 5.6-liter V8 XTO offshore outboard. Extreme big block thrust and power in the industry's first direct injection 4-stroke. Quiet, efficient, powerful, and proven Yamaha reliability. More than an outboard, it's a fully integrated power system. The all-new Yamaha V8 XTO offshore.
Why is Casa Vieja Lodge on everyone's bucket list?
Left teaser, left flat as well, 2 fish. They're everywhere. Right flat teaser as well. Left flat, right flat teaser.
Come to Casa Vieja Lodge and check it off your list.
Finding a shoreline is easy. Finding a sure thing is not. For over 20 years, anglers from Kitty Hawk to California and every shore in between have come to know one thing: that nothing says no to fish bites. So just stop with the fishing and get busy with the catching. Ask for Fish Bites or Fish Bites Fight Club lures or visit fishbites.com.
Hey guys, we're here at the boat show, and as you can tell, we got the new Murphy's Law for 2021 season of Sportsman's Adventures. Let me tell you a little bit about the Contender 35 ST and some of the features that I really love about the 425s. So the reason why I picked the 425s is certainly the fly-by-wire steering. Wireless steering is a huge thing now, and I really love that feature, not having to deal with any more pumps or actually cables. The other thing that I really love about the offshore 425 XTO is the prop selection that I have. Now we're swinging over a 16-inch diameter wheel and a 23 pitch, pushing this Contender 35 at over 70 miles an hour. Now speaking of the lower units, you know there's days when we actually idle into shallow water so we can throw a cast net on mullet or pilchards. And when we're doing that, having the low water pickups that the XTOs have really make it a lot easier. What comes to mind is when I throw these motors in reverse, they're over 300% better in traction and going in reverse. So, if you're thinking about repowering, the 425 XTO is something that I'd really recommend you do. The other thing that we did is to match up with these Yamahas is we put in the Helmmaster. And the thing that I love about Helmmaster is that in our fishing situations now, we have the ability to put it in a stay point, a drift point, or a fish point. Now what that basically means is in stay point, I'm gonna hold my position and heading. So it's great for waiting around the dock for a dock slip when I'm getting ready to put this big beast on a trailer. The other thing that I like about it is that in the drift point, I can actually hold a heading like if we were kite fishing or fishing off of a sea anchor, and the boat will hold that heading as we drift along. A great feature when it comes to fishing off the boat sideways. The other thing too, when we go to a wreck, we simply push fish point bow or fish point stern, depending on where we want to fish, and now it actually holds us there. The other thing that comes to mind is that you have a 5-year limited warranty on the Yamaha 425 XTOs. So if you have any questions, you can simply go to YamahaOutboards.com or go down to your local Yamaha dealer. Years ago, I would have never dreamed that you could push a button and anchor your boat with your motors.
And we're here.
And
Look
here we are.
this.
The Helmmaster really does it.
Exactly. All right, we'll talk about being well-rounded. The Garmin Lower Coast region has it all. So let's hear from our resident captain, Chad Kinney, to hear all of our options for the weekend ahead. Hey, Chad.
Hey, tell you what, things going great. We've talked about Corpus and South. We've got such a huge territory in the Lower Coast. We're going to go to the south end of South Padre Island this time. So inshore, starting with the trout and redfish. It's been good out of South Padre, around the grass beds and up in the flats there. So out of South Padre, when you're heading out, fishing's really good around the Long Bar. That's just north of the causeway. You'll see a big old dark grass bed line just on the westerly side there. There's a bunch of guts and stuff that go through that. So you can fish at drop-offs along that edge of the grass beds for the best results. If you're throwing lures, I love throwing the saltwater assassin sea shats. Pick your favorite color and stuff like that, but my favorite go-to one every time is magic grass. I love that chartreuse, anything with a chartreuse tail. And rig this with an 1/8-ounce jig head and throw into that deeper water and let it slink in a slow retrieve and kind of work it back like that. One thing with those chartreuse tails, you got to keep an eye on it. Sometimes you get some piggy perch or a short strike on the trout. They're short striking it, they're going to hit that ball tail or the little tail off like that. So replace the baits as often as you need. If you're using live bait, croaker season's just starting. You're going to be here in full swing. Fish the same area in sand pockets when using live bait. I like tying about a 24-inch, 30-pound leader Mamoy on there for a shock leader, keep abrasion off. And right now I'm starting out with like a 5-aught Kale hook with Eagle Claw. That works great. And then the cast out, the same stuff, cast on the edge, let the bait work on the edge of the grass into the sand pockets there. And remember, when that bait gets down, it's going to do a lot of the work, but once in a while do a little quick twitch with the wrist. It helps that bait move and get out of the grass if he's there, get a lot more strikes. Also, another thing real quick, remember you got to feed the fish. They're always going to hit that kind of head first, so they start with your rod tip up. When you thump it, kind of bend to them, set the hook. If you start missing them consistently, then you might want to open up your open face or your spinning reel, open it up, let them take a little bit of line and start setting the hook, and you'll figure out where it goes. So got a good picture here of Mary Beth Snyder with a nice solid trout that she got down there.
Nice. All right, what else? Let's go red fishing.
Yep, for moving to redfish, the flats, by Gaswell Flats, 3 ons. Look for bait flipping and wakes pushing early shallow. Gold spoon's working great, with quick retrieve. In calm conditions, get out there and wade fish and throw some mirror lure or Top Dog Junior. It's great fishing, especially when you see those wakes pushing up behind that bait and popping or crushing and rolling on top of it. So it's a great way to start the morning. Got a picture of a good solid redfish here also caught. And then moving on to offshore, weather conditions are starting to improve. We're getting some northerns coming down, but they're really starting to decrease right now, so that means summertime's about here. So head out deeper for trolling and some dropping for grouper. Wahoo bite has been pretty good. Hit the color changes, weed lines, look for rips about past 200 foot and deeper. If you get one, work it really hard, put 3 lines out. 2 mirror lures on a diver works really good, and an islander down the middle you can rig with a ballyhoo if you want to, or even a little bit of a weighted deal to get it down a little bit deeper. Remember to rig all that stuff with wire, and after the strike's landing on a wahoo, double check your leaders for kinks, etc., and replace as needed there. And then go into some deep dropping, which I love deep dropping. If you're out there trolling, it's kind of slow, you kind of get bored, get your favorite structure deep down and drop down on the bottom there. Dropping down, you get a shot of the grouper there. Use some Eagle Claw, trocar hooks like stuff. Get some really heavy tensile strength and make a great one. Heavier the better on the bottom rig. Use like a 3-pound weight or so. to really get down there bigger. 300 to 400 pound Mamoy rigged with that, with a 14-knot Eagle Claw circle hook. That'll really do that. And then once you do this, put it on a 3-way swivel. So I put like about a 4-foot leader down to your weight and about another 3 or 4 foot along with the 3-way swivel. So if you got a live bait, it'll run around in circles. If you got a dead bait, it'll still kind of float around in the current. Grouper are kind of lazy, so they don't inhale it. So you got to kind of feed it and wait for the bite to go and feed the fish. And once you get hooked, work your way up, keep them going, keep pressure at all times. You'll have a good time. We got a good picture of my wife, actually, Erica Kinney, a.k.a. Big Mama, with a nice Warsaw grouper there.
Oh, there's Mama showing us her stuff. All right, bub, thank you so much. We're going to go and take a look at the shallow sport, lower coast, hot spots inshore, headed down to South Padre for good trout fishing and redfish action. Throw topwater mirror lures in the morning and then switch to a 1/4 ounce gold spoon and then offshore. Head out offshore for some deep dropping for groupers and wahoos. Try R&R wahoo magnets in purple and black for those wahoos, Brie.
Okay, let's get set up for the Star Charm Middle Fresh region with your guide, Matt Losher, talking about the bite on Toledo Bend and Richland Chambers and how to work around that wind. Help us out, Matt.
All right, Brie. Yeah, I've got a pretty wide-ranging report this week, so I'm going to get right to it. The bass on Toledo Bend, they're a little bit spread out. They're doing a lot of different things, but the good news is the bite is good. The bite's good on really all the fish right now. They're really feeding. They're using, some of them are using shallow cover, and others are setting up out deeper. They're anywhere from about 3 all the way out to like 15 feet right now. I know that's a big range, but that's just what they're doing. But shad are still the key, so look for those large congregations of the shad on the main lake. The creeks haven't been as productive as the main lake, so try to narrow that down. And on that shallow bite, you're going to want to look for the grass or the wood in like 2 to 4 foot where the fish can kind of hide in the shade once the sun gets up. A green pumpkin skunk ape has been really good this week. I'm pitching it around the shallow cover. Depending on what cover I'm in, I'm using different size Texas rigs. So just use whatever you need there. And on the offshore bite, shad-colored crankbaits have been good in about 6 to 15 foot, grinding them on the bottom, getting that reaction strike. I've got a photo here for you real quick, just to show folks that skunk ape I'm talking about. I've got a nice bass I caught there this week on that Texas rig skunk ape in a green pumpkin color.
Looks good, bub.
And now moving up to Richland Chambers, Mr. Thurman Selman gave me a report from up there this week. He said he's catching most of his bass in the shallows because the wind has been pretty rough on him. He's had to stay in those protected areas, but he has been catching some fish. He's having success on small shad imitating baits like square bill, and he says that the wind has been limiting him a lot and the water has been dirty. However, the water is starting to clear up and the weather's stabilizing now that we're getting kind of closer to summertime, so things should get a lot better in the coming weeks. He also mentioned to me that the catfish are in those same shallow areas, biting real good on shad and cutbait. So if the bass aren't cooperating, you might try for them. Now, on the crappie, on Toledo Bend, they're hanging out in about 15 to 25 foot of water. Some are using bridge pilings and standing timber, but others are still kind of hanging out near the bottom. They're still transitioning out from spawning. Panfish assassin jigs have still been real good. This is a really good time to get that jig bite on the crappie early in the summer here. Monkey milk and monkey milk with a chartreuse tail have been the best colors for me. I'm throwing that on a 16th ounce plain lead colored jig head. And as always, the minnows are good too. The live bait never fails. And I've got a photo here for you, another quick one with a client of mine this week. You've got 2 real nice crappie there. Some of those bigger ones are starting to show up on those offshore places. So that's been a lot of fun this week.
That looks good.
Yep, and lastly, the white bass. That bite has sort of died off a little bit. We're still catching them, but it's not as good as it was last week. They're staying in that 10 to 20 foot of water. They're chasing schools of shad out on the main lake areas. Points and humps that are in that 10 to 20 foot range have been the best. And the bite seems to be better real early in the morning. So get out there real early if you want to take advantage of that. And Mr. Selman also mentioned that they're biting really good on Richland Chambers on the flats and the humps. And then down at Lake Livingston, they always catch a ton of them down there this time of year. Spoons on the flats are the ticket there.
All right, Matt, thank you. Great report from the Startron Middle Fresh region. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots. Matt says Toledo Bend bass are in 3 to 15 feet of water around the shads. Green pumpkin, skunk apes, and crankbaits are best. On Richland Chambers, the bass are biting small crankbaits. And then the crappie are biting jigs and minnows in 15 to 25 feet of water. And don't forget about the white bass in 10 to 20 feet biting minnows and the spoons.
All right, hold tight and get ready to reel, anglers. The Alvi Reels Middle Coast region is coming at you next, but coming at you first is some top-notch shopping skills over at the CCA Workbench.
Come on,
Brought to you by Dave Farrell.
Yes, we've got a plethora of gear.
That's my word.
Including this really cool, it is your cool night vision.
Night vision?
Night
Ooh la
track
la.
from night vision. Night
Oh.
track.
Black
track.
and white. That's all
Night
I am,
vision
black
from
and
night
white.
track.
There it
All
is.
right, we'll be back.
I like it.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Ameritrail. Load, launch, relax. Turn on the bite anytime. Tie on a Miralure. Diamond Fishing Products. Our reputation is on the line. And Startron. Cures and prevents ethanol fuel problems.
At the pinnacle of super high output, 4-stroke outboard performance, you'll find Yamaha VMAX SHO. Yamaha's game-changing SHO technology. From exhilarating V6 models to the sleek inline 4s, there's a VMAX SHO for everything from bass to bonefish. It's an extended family of 4-strokes engineered for lightweight, inspiring performance, and rock-solid reliability. Discover VMAX SHO and elevate your expectations.
The only reel with over 100 years of heritage. Alvi reels are manufactured using the most reliable components. Alvi's state-of-the-art drag and retrieve rates are perfect for any fishing challenge. So whether it's a side cast or spinning reel, Alvi makes a reel that best fits your needs. Alvi reels are manufactured to best practice standards and are in fact so robust that the Alvi also comes with up to a 10-year salt and sand warranty. For more information, go to alvius.com.
Today's Power Pole tip, we're talking about the Power Pole spikes. The Power Pole spikes come in two models. Ultralight, like I'm holding here, which is perfect for kayaks, canoes, paddleboards. The hollow core technology keeps this spike extra light and easy to use in those smaller vessels. The HD model, which stands for heavy duty, of course, is great for your technical poling skiffs, but it's also good for all your beach-going, sandbar-going, pontoon boats, party boats, and even up to big contenders. I go by sandbars from Sarasota to Key West, and I'll see boats using 2 or 3 of them. The neat thing about that is you're avoiding any use of anchors, ropes, or chains, and it's holding your boat tight and secure. Also, they can be paired up with Power Pole Micro, and if you purchase the Power Pole Micro along with a spike, HD or ultralight, Power Pole's gonna stroke you a check for $100. And that's today's Power Pole tip.
So we're here at the Rigs and Techniques, Dave.
Yes, sir.
And, not Rigs and Techniques, new products.
I guess.
I'm thinking about Rigs and
I'm
Techniques.
going to go with whatever
sometimes.
you say.
But there's definitely a lot of cool stuff out there on the market. And this new Nitrax.
Nitrax Ranger. And it's made, and it's what it is. It's an HD night vision machine, and it uses CCD technology. It doesn't use thermal. And what that CCC does, it's got a little chip in there, and when any time of it can work in almost pitch black, but the smallest amount of light hits that sensor and then magnifies it against another sensor, and another sensor, and it makes it till it gets to be a really nice view on there. A really high definition, has interfaces with all the multifunction displays you can get out there. If you want to mount it, you can mount it to something. You don't have to have it like this in your hand. It comes with a mount and everything, 25 feet of cord. And
you can use
cable.
it for your buggy, you can use it for your skiff, for your bay boat.
You can go hunting with that thing, and you can do all kinds of, take it out anywhere, anytime you need to be running around it tonight. You can see a paper cup at 100 yards away with that thing. It's got 437,000 pixels versus which is like 300,000 for a thermal. So you can really get good detail and see a long way. 60 frames a second refresh.
So Dave, I want to show you how we mounted on the new 35 Contender. So we mounted it on the hard top so that now it's been elevated, and this comes with hardware mounting, so it comes with all the mounting, so it works perfectly. But I want to show you the difference when we're showing it through our Garmin, which it can be interfaced with almost any electronics package you have. On the left, you can tell that is the Nitrax picture versus this is the competition on the right. Certainly infrared on the left, that we have that ability with Nitrax, and then the competition certainly uses thermal imaging, which takes off of body heat, so it's not as clear a picture. So for safety reasons at night, I want to be able to see the clarity.
You want to be able to see everything.
My depth perception is a lot more accurate.
Right, and if something's in the water, it's going to be the same temperature as the water.
Nitrax.com.
Just about right. All right, next up we got some actually we got the Big Kahuna portable shower, and these things are really great if you're going to the beach or you're going to go wade fishing. This thing, you keep it in the back of your truck and fill it with water. It's got a little tiny pump in there. It's a German, German pump. The thing, I don't even know how the thing works. It's so tiny, but it'll run forever. And you just plug it into your cigarette lighter. Right. It's got a long cord. It sits in the back of my truck, and the cord reaches all the way up to the front of the truck. And so you can keep that in the back and just hit the button and you got a shower. It also comes, you can also buy an extra heating element if you wanted to. If you take this thing camping or whatever, if you have a 110, you can actually put a heating element in there and have a hot shower if you want. Wow. But Big Kahuna portable showers, they come in like that's a 5 gallon, 4.7 actually. They have an 8 gallon, they have a 13 gallon, all your portable shower needs there at Big Kahuna Showers.com. Next, we got some Sea Striker sand spikes for fishing on the beach. And I went in to get some of these, just some regular old plastic sand spikes, and I ended up finding this one, which is called the Sea Striker Surf Pal. And what's really cool about this is it's got this little tray attached, which, you're thinking, what's the big deal? Well, I tell you what, when you have to keep running back and forth to get your sand fleas or your gear or fish anything, bites. If you've got 4 of these things set up, you're running back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You just put a couple rigs and a couple sinkers in each one of these things, and you don't have to worry about it. You just have to go sit at one pot.
Set your cup up there.
Yeah, you put a cup, and you got a little slot for a knife as well. So you can do that. All right, next here we got some Fish Razor rigs. These are rigged, just rigged ready ballyhoo rigs. They're already rigged up. They've got a nice pin rig inside with a bait spring, so it makes it really easy. All you got to do is pin the ballyhoo's chin under there and wind that spring down on him, and he's going to be perfect. Put him around the belly and in. Right. And then stick him up there. And they come in several different sizes, different shapes, different colors. So, if for a fella who just goes out and buys a bunch of ballyhoo and wants to put them in without having to worry about all that copper wire and
smart.
It comes already rigged up on the nice mono, 110-pound mono. So you're ready to go.
What colors? It comes in a lot of variety of different colors?
Yeah, and you can use them for, everything eats it. Kingfish, dolphin, wahoo. Hopefully, the wahoo gets it way far back.
And you know what I like, Dave? Look on the back here. It has a little thing about trolling 101, basic guide to trolling.
Right, you open that up, and there's a little thing in there that tells you how to rig stuff.
What speeds and that's cool. Good job, guys.
Fishrazor.com.
All right, Dave, good job by you. All right, Brie, now it's time for you to do a job.
That was quite a variety over there. I'm impressed with your shopping skills, Dave.
Oh, yeah.
All right, the wind has been throwing up some challenges in the Alvey Reels Middle Coast region, but it's nothing our Captain Bank Grimes can't coach us through. So tell us how to prevail against the odds, Bank.
Yeah, it's been blowing pretty good here. Winds that just happens during the spring. Our fish bite better, a whole lot better in the southeast wind because that gives us a low barometer, brings our water up, pushes our tides up as well. Our tides have swelled. There's a lot more real estate to fish. The new water pushes loads of shrimp and shad and mullet to the shorelines, and the trouts follow them right behind them. Winds have gusted to 25 knots or better, but the clarity along the shorelines remain good. The only way to consistently catch fish along the middle coast with stiff winds is to wade fish. Water temperature's been about 75 degrees, up to 77 this week. We've been wading wet. We finally ditched the waders for spring. In Freeport, the higher tides have pushed the trout to the reefs in Christmas and Bass Drop Bays. Live shrimp worked off the edges of the shell has been consistent. Surfside Beach has been good when the weather allows. We saw some north winds this week and kind of flattened the Gulf a little bit, gave the offshore guys a chance to get out there, and it gave us a chance to get on the beach for the first time in the jetty and throw plugs, and those trout are there. East Matagorda Bay continues to pump out trout in the 6-pound range or better. You can catch those fish on live shrimp under a mid-coast cork. You don't have to throw plugs or soft plastics. You can still catch them that way, but even the most novice fishermen can catch a big trout out there right now. Then West Bay continues to produce trout to 25 inches on bass assassins and topwaters. Incoming tide's been good around daylight and it's peaked around lunch. Perfect currents for wading the flat. Those reefs around Coon Island have been good on light winds. That's up there around Palacios. Then at Seadrift, trout numbers have been good on both the shell and the shorelines of Espiritu Santo Bay and San Antonio Bay. Live shrimp's been best on for trout, and then bass assassins and mirror lures are getting bites as well. Trout action around the jetty has been really good on topwaters and live shad. Around there in Port O'Connor, City Slickers and the Cedars have been really good on the incoming tide. Our tides are starting to really pump in early in the morning with that incoming tide. Rockport guide Brent Price said those protected shorelines are catching trout on small sheep pups and she dogs and bass assassins as well. Then they're catching them on shrimp under a popping cork right on the edge of the reef, and then where the grass and the sand meet as well. Photo there's a trout that's been just been a great spring in East Matagorda Bay for big trout like that, and a lot of people are practicing conservation and throwing those big girls back into the water, and it's really protecting our bay. Redfish, it's been a good in Bass Drop Bay on live shad when you can find them. Some reds have hit small top waters like mirror sheep pups. Water clarity's been stained, but reds don't care as long as they can find them allowed flow. Guide Michael Quebec, he's found redfish in stiff winds on the reefs running parallel to the intercoastal waterway in East Matagorda Bay. He's also using live shrimp. He's rigging it about a foot underneath the mid-coast popping cork. Then the back lakes, there are players, Oyster Lake in Matagorda, Crab Lake, Lake Austin near Sargent. Best baits have been live shrimp again. Some people are cracking crabs and sinking them on the bottom. Guide Will Granberry at Port O'Connor said there's a lot of slot reds hanging around the jetty. He said there's a lot of bulls there as well and a lot of oversized drum with them. Also good reds along the shorelines in the morning. It might be a trout one cast. It might be a red another. You never know. When our tides are up like this, those trout and those reds intermingle along the shorelines. We'll go offshore. Like I said, north winds this week has allowed guys to get out there. Red snapper continue to be the most targeted species in state waters. The federal red snapper season for recreational anglers will begin June 1st. It'll run 63 days. Last year, it was proposed to run 82 days, but it actually didn't because it was cut short. When the towable allowable catch gets to a point, they cut the season off. So for this year, they've allowed 63 days. Bag limits in federal waters are 2 fish per person with a 16-inch minimum. But as of right now, if you're catching them in Texas water, you can keep 4 fish with a 14-inch minimum. Lately, the beachfront has been good around Freeport for bull reds and sharks. Port Aransas anglers had the same action, but they're starting to catch cobia and kingfish. Then the amberjack season opened this weekend, this past weekend, May 1st, and results were good. It was kind of sloppy conditions, but it just shows you how many amberjacks are out there. Water temps in the Gulf are running about 78 degrees. We've had highs in the 90s in the afternoon this week, so that water temperature could pump on up to 80 degrees and move a lot more pelagics closer to the shore. So it's May. Hey, you know, the beach is there, our bays are there, offshore is there. We're having a good time and enjoying being outside.
All right, thanks, Bink. Great report this week from the Alvey Middle Coast region. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots. Bink says the trout are good on the reefs near the Coon Island and Palacios on live shrimp. Redfish are good at Port O'Connor Jetty on fresh shrimp and squids. What are you shaking your head about? Palacio, I said wrong?
Maybe a little bit. You know, this year's been a little bit unpredictable, and it just feels like holidays are flying by. Mother's Day is this weekend. Hello.
It's gonna be your second Mother's Day.
I know, it's gonna be my second Mother's Day. Hopefully
Must be very special for you.
It is. It's very special. I'm looking forward to it. We'll probably be out on the water fishing. I've taken her bass fishing in a canoe the past 2 weeks in a row, so that's been a lot of fun. She's enjoyed it. I get, you know, a dozen bait to actually fish with and a dozen for her to play with. That's how it works.
Oh.
You know what I mean? So everybody, happy Mother's Day. I hope you have a great day, whatever you end up doing. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Happy Mother's
Celebrate
Day.
Mama. Celebrate Mommy.
Celebrate Mama on Sunday, for sure.
Yeah, flowers, fishing,
All right,
whatever
guys,
it may be.
thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.
We
We'll see you next
appreciate
week.
you very much.
Have a great weekend.
All
Bye.
right. Bye-bye. We'll see you.
What are you guys doing?
Bye.